The room was silent, except for the ticking clock on the wall and my mother's shaky breathing. My father stood across from me, hands clenched, eyes red, and said the words I never thought I'd hear from him. "We need your help. The house, we're going to lose it." I looked at them, the same parents who laughed at me for years, and thought, "You won't believe how we got here." But to understand why this moment felt so surreal, I need to take you back to the very beginning. Because if you had told me back then that my little online shop would hit $1 million in sales and that my parents would come begging because of it, I would have laughed just as hard as they did. Growing up, I was the practical disappointment of the family. My older brother, Daniel, was the golden child. Straight A's, varsity sports, scholarships lined up. Every family dinner somehow turned into a recap of his achievements. "And Daniel's professor says he's top of his class," my mom would say, smiling like she personally solved world hunger. Meanwhile, I'd be sitting there, pushing peas around my plate, thinking, "Cool, I sold 3 phone cases today." I didn't talk much about what I was doing online at first. I was in my early 20s, fresh out of a degree I didn't even like, working part-time at a logistics warehouse at night. During the day, I experimented. Websites, product sourcing, ads, customer emails. It wasn't glamorous. My bedroom smelled like cardboard and packing tape. My laptop fan screamed like it was dying. But I loved it. The first time I mentioned it at dinner, my dad barely looked up from his plate. "So, I started an online shop," I said. "It's small, but..." My mom chuckled, not even trying to hide it. "Oh, honey," she said, waving her hand. "Everyone sells things online now." Daniel smirked. "Like Etsy bracelets?" "No," I said, forcing a smile. Never mind. That should have been my warning, but I kept going. Every time sales dipped, I questioned myself. Every time sales spiked, I felt like I was holding a secret no one wanted to hear. And honestly, that hurt more than the long nights. Let me ask you something. Have you ever worked your heart out for something only to be treated like it didn't matter at all? Because that was my life for years. The mockery didn't stop, it escalated. At a family barbecue, my aunt asked what I was up to these days. Before I could answer, my dad jumped in. "He's still doing that little internet thing," he said, flipping burgers. "Won't last." Everyone laughed, even my mom. I remember gripping my plastic cup so hard it cracked. That night, I told myself something quietly, almost like a promise. I'm not going to prove them wrong. I'm just going to prove myself right. And that's when things started changing. Slowly at first. My shop went from selling 10 orders a week to 10 a day, then 20, then 50. I reinvested everything. No new clothes, no vacations, no fancy phone. Every dollar went back into inventory, ads, systems. At night, while my parents slept peacefully in the house they owned, I answered customer emails with bloodshot eyes. I learned how to negotiate with suppliers overseas. I studied analytics like my life depended on it. And maybe it did. But here's the part I didn't see coming. While I was quietly building something real, my parents were quietly destroying their own stability. I didn't know it yet, but the seeds of that living room confrontation were already being planted. 2 years into the shop, I moved out. Not because I was rich, far from it, but because I needed space. I rented a tiny apartment with thin walls and a flickering hallway light, but it was mine. When I told my parents, my dad frowned. "Moving out? On that income?" "I'll be fine," I said. Daniel laughed. Bold move. I didn't argue. I just left. And here's a little retention secret for you. This is where you'd expect things to magically work out, right? Like a movie montage? They didn't. 3 months later, my ad account got suspended. Overnight, sales dropped by 70%. I stared at my screen in disbelief. That night, I sat on the floor of my apartment, back against the couch, wondering if my parents had been right all along. I almost quit. Tell me honestly, would you have? Because what happened next changed everything. I appealed the suspension. I rebuilt my ads from scratch. I tested new products. I failed again and again. But one product, just one, started to take off. Orders flooded in faster than I could pack them. I hired my first freelancer, then a second. I moved fulfillment to a small warehouse. I didn't tell my parents. Not out of spite, out of self-protection. Every time my phone buzzed with a new sale, I felt this strange mix of joy and grief. Joy because it was working. Grief because I had no one in my family to share it with. When Daniel got engaged, there was a big dinner. Toasts, smiles. My parents were glowing. My mom turned to me and said, "So, Still doing your online thing?" I nodded. "Yeah, still." She smiled politely, like you smile at a stranger on an elevator. What she didn't know was that I'd just crossed $400,000 in lifetime sales. And this is important, because while I was hitting milestones, my parents were making decisions based on an illusion. They thought Daniel would always be the safety net. Here's the truth they never told me. My parents had refinanced their house, twice, to help Daniel. Graduate school, a failed startup, a wedding that went way over budget. They never asked me, never told me. And Daniel? He never said no. I found out by accident. One afternoon, my mom called me, voice tight. "Can you come over? We need to talk." I walked into the house I grew up in and noticed things felt off. Bills stacked on the counter, my dad quieter than usual. "We're just a bit stressed," my mom said. Interest rates went up. I nodded, not fully understanding. Then my dad added, "It's temporary." That word, temporary, something about it didn't sit right with me. So I started paying attention, and what I discovered made my stomach drop. A few months later, my shop crossed $1 million in total sales. I remember the exact moment. I was alone in the warehouse office. The air smelled like dust and coffee. I refreshed the dashboard and saw the number, 1,237,000. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there. And the first people I thought about were my parents. But not in the way you'd expect. I didn't think they'll finally be proud. I thought, they have no idea who they've been underestimating. A week later, Daniel announced he was moving across the country for a new opportunity. My parents threw him a goodbye dinner. Big hugs, tears. At the table, my dad raised his glass. "To Daniel," he said, "for always making us proud." I clinked my glass quietly, and then my mom turned to me. "You should really think about a more stable career," she said. "We worry about you." That's when I realized something was seriously wrong, because they were worried about me while standing on financial quicksand. 3 months later, the call came, the one I opened this story with. "Can you come over?" my mom said. "It's urgent." When I arrived, the house felt colder. My dad's hands were shaking. "We're behind on payments," he said. "The bank sent a notice." My mom looked at me, eyes glossy. "We might lose the house." I waited. There it was. The silence stretched. Finally, my dad said, "We heard your shop is doing okay?" I almost laughed. "Okay?" I repeated. My mom reached for my hand. "We need help, just until things settle." And here's the twist they didn't expect. I asked one question. "Do you know how much my business makes?" They exchanged a look. "No," my dad said. "But we thought." "It passed $1 million in sales," I said calmly. The room froze. My mom's mouth opened, closed. "That's not funny," my dad said. "I'm not joking." I pulled out my phone, showed them the dashboard. Silence. You could hear the clock again. And then my mom whispered, "Why didn't you tell us?" I swallowed. "You laughed," I said, every time. This was the power reclaim moment. But it didn't end there, because helping them wasn't just about money. It was about boundaries. "I can help," I said, "but not like this." My dad frowned. "What do you mean?" "I won't just hand over money, and I won't be treated like a backup plan." My mom started crying. "We're family." "I know," I said. "That's why this hurts." I laid out conditions. Full financial transparency. No more secret bailouts for Daniel. A formal agreement. Respect. They hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. In that moment, I realized something heartbreaking. They didn't see me as a son who succeeded. They saw me as a resource. So I made a choice. I said no. They lost the house 6 months later. They moved into a smaller place. They blamed the economy. They blamed timing. They never apologized. Daniel called me once. "You could have saved them," he said. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was absurd. "You could have too," I replied. "You just never had to." I hung up. Today, my business is still growing. My life is quieter, healthier. I learned that being underestimated can be painful, but it can also be freeing. You stop performing, you start building. And when the moment comes, you choose yourself. So tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have saved the family home? Or would you have walked away like I did? Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't proving them wrong. It's refusing to save them when they never believed in you in the first place.